everyone! I am very excited to announce that we will be starting our clay unit. So, there's a couple of things you're going to need to notice at your table when we start clay, and that is that you will have lots of things to work with. First of all, let's talk about proper care and use of the clay. So, each table will have a bag of clay with some pieces in there and a rag. This rag is wet, it's damp, and so whenever you're not using the clay, it should be wrapped up so that it doesn't dry out. Clay, when it sits out for a long time, dries and gets hard, and we don't want our clay to get hard because if it's hard, we can't mold it and sculpt it into something. So whenever you take out your clay, you're going to put the bag to the side, and whenever any clay that you're not using, you're going to wrap it up in the rag and cover it in the bag. The other thing that you have at your table is some clay with a lot of water. That's called slip, not slick. Slip. It is slippery, so we call it slip. The other thing you'll see is a sponge. This sponge has water on it, and you'll see why you need to have that handy. And then, of course, a messy mat, something to help you so that the clay doesn't stick, because if it gets very watery, it turns into slip, and it's very hard to get off. Like you see here, I've got some that was really smushy. And so when I rolled it, it spread all over the mat. That will happen on your table if you're not careful. So always work on the messy mat. All right, so the first thing we need to do today is learn how to roll the clay. So you just take your clay. Mine's already rolled because I've been practicing, but you're gonna practice too. I'll show you. Sometimes I roll it in my hand this way. Sometimes I roll it on the table, but you want to use the palm of your hand, not your fingertips. The palm, this area right here, to roll. And you don't want to press too hard, because if you press hard, then it starts to get flat. So you want to make sure that you take your clay and add whatever shape it's in, and you kind of squish it into a ball, but it's, not smooth right now. It's got lots of wrinkles on it. And then you just roll it on the table. Roll it on the table. Roll it back and forth. Roll it around in a circle. If you want to pick it up and hold it and roll it gently. You're not pressing hard. You're just kind of rolling all the wrinkles away. Okay, all the lumps and bumps. Not all of them are going to go away. As you can see, I have some here, but that's pretty good. And now I just made a form. This is called a sphere. So I just made a sphere. Now you can take that piece, and I want to show you how you're going to divide your clay. So you can take your clay and separate it. You just pinch it off like your hands are claws, like those claw games, and you pick up the toys. So that's all you do to make your pieces smaller. You can divide your clay as much as you want and use as much or as little as you want. And then you can put it back together just like that and smush it again and roll it again. Now, when you're working, you're going to notice that your clay starts to get cracks in it. It's going to start to lose the moisture. The water is going to come out of it, and it gets on your hands. So this is why the sponge is really important. I use 3 fingers, and I just press gently on the sponge, and I get water on my finger, but not too much, because I don't want to turn my clay into slip, right? So I use my hands and I put water on my finger as I am working with the clay, and the water keeps it smushy, and I can form it. I can change the shape of it. I can do anything that I want to. If I press on it, it's going to take the shape of whatever I do. So as you're working with your clay, every once in a while, you're going to have to get more water so that it stays soft. If you don't give it water, you're going to see lots of cracks, and that's a sign that it's drying and it's very, very thirsty. So it's not going to mold for you anymore. It's not going to be so soft. It's going to start to get tough and hard and crack. Okay? So while you're working with your clay today, you may have to stop, tap your finger, and add water to it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is divide our clay in half. And you're going to place half back in the bag. So here's your bag. You put it in, you cover it, and then you cover your bag, set it off to the side. This is your clay that you're going to work with, and you're just going to make a sphere. So maybe you want to gently tap the sponge and then start rolling. You can roll in different ways. Roll on the table. You're going to feel it that it might get kind of flat on you. If it doesn't roll, then you just kind of have to tap it around or squish it back in your hand to make it roll a little bit more. You're making like a little sphere. So if it's flat, it's not going to roll. So you can't press really hard, but you just want to go in a circular motion. Sometimes I go back and forth. Sometimes I put it in my hands and I roll gently like this so I can kind of see it's taking shape. That's awesome. Okay, now with the sphere, we're going to take that sphere and make it flat like a pancake. So using the palm of your hand, this part here, you're going to press down flat. Like I like to make it like a cookie thickness. So check your pinky, as thick as your pinky. That's pretty good. It looks like an Oreo double stuffed. All right, so that's my flat pancake. I don't want to pinch it too hard because when you pinch clay really hard, and let's say you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I love to smush the clay, and I'm making a pancake, and it's going down, down, down. Well, the problem with this is that, number one, it's going to get floppy on you, and it's not going to hold its shape. The other thing that can happen is it can tear. So that is not a good thing when you're making a sculpture. So you need to make sure that it's about as thick as a cookie. Let me get some water, okay, because my clay is drying out. And then I'm going to put that water back inside. And then I'm going to try again. Roll it like a ball or a sphere. And then flat like a pancake. About the thickness of a cookie. I always relate everything to food. I don't know why. I think everybody understands. Okay, so there you go. Flat, flat like a cookie. The thickness of a cookie, flat like a pancake. All right, now, with the other half of your clay, you're going to find that piece now. Find the other half of your clay. I want you to make a ball again. So leave this off to the side. Make a ball, or make a sphere, I should say. Roll it in the sphere into a coil. So this time you're gonna press while you're rolling back and forth. Press. You can do it on the table too. Just roll it. It's like you're making a little, like a hot dog. You're rolling it out. You can use 2 hands. I like to press from the middle. Oops, when it doesn't roll, I kind of have to tap it a little bit so it gets round. So it still needs to be round in order to roll. If you press too hard while you're trying to roll it, it's going to get flat on you and then it's not going to roll. If that happens, tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tap the corners because you don't want a square. You want it to roll. So it's got to be round. And then you can roll it into a coil. Okay, now look at all those wrinkles. We got lots of wrinkles. So you can use one finger, smooth it out. Sometimes you get wrinkles in your clay. Sometimes you get folds, but you can smooth it out because clay is just cool like that. You know, it's really neat. And it's just mud. It's a special kind of mud. It's really awesome. Okay, so now you've got a coil and a flat pancake. So you've learned how to make 3 things: a sphere, a flat shape, and a coil like a snake. And this can be turned and shaped into different ways. Look, I made a heart. Or look at this, I can curl it around like this and make a spiral. this can turn into letters like a L or a C, or I can lock it up and make it an O, or this could be a 0 or an O. So there's lots of things you can do with a coil. Now, I want to attach 2 pieces of clay. So that's the next big thing, is learning how to attach pieces together. So for example, if I want to put this piece on here, like to make a little dish or a little vase, a coil pot, you gotta kind of attach them. So this is how you do it. This is a toothbrush from the Dollar Tree. Don't worry, it's not my toothbrush. Nobody's used it. I got a bunch at the Dollar Tree. I love the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use that slip that we talked about, and I'm going to scratch around the spot where I want to attach this piece. So I'm just going to scratch it. That's what the toothbrush does. And I want to scratch my coil too. So get a little slip and scratch. The scratching is what helps attach the clay together. So now I just need to press it on in place where I want it to go. And then I have too much left over, or I could keep going, it's okay. But if you don't want that piece, you just cut it off. And then you gotta smooth your clay out, because you're gonna have lots of wrinkles on it and little cracks and stuff. So then you smooth it out with your finger. That's really important. So now these 2 pieces are together. They're stuck together. Now they just need to dry. There's the slip right there. It's like a little sandwich with slip in it. Okay, so now those 2 pieces of clay are going to become one now. All right, so that's how you attach them. Now I could start over and do something totally different, as long as I have my clay. And I can show you too, if your clay starts to get dry, there's a trick I learned. I love this trick because it's great. So you take your bag, you take your rag. That rhymes. You put your clay inside, right? You lay it in there, and then you just give it a couple good pounds. Don't worry, the clay doesn't feel a thing. It's just mud. So you open it up, fold it like a taco, close it back up, give it 5 good pounds. It might take a little bit more. Fold it like a taco. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we go. Now I've got some water back inside my clay, so it's good. It's in good shape. I can mold it again. I can make something else. So let's see. We're going to, we did all that. We're going to divide the clay in half, roll the 2 halves into spheres. Okay, you got that. Now we're going to do a coil, but not roll it out too long. Okay, because like sometimes if you roll your coils out too thin, they break. So you want to make sure it's always the thickness of your finger, your pinky. This is kind of a little thicker, and that's okay. That's what I want for now. I want it to look like a log. And then I'm going to tap the sides, because I want this to be like, this could be like a leg of an animal. This could be an elephant's foot. It could be the trunk of a tree. It could be the neck of a giraffe. It could be the trunk of an elephant. Geez, it could be a lot of things. So many things. But I always want to make sure it's pretty thick, okay? So look at the thickness of my finger and look at the thickness of my coil. You don't want really thin coils, because sometimes kids get so carried away and they're like, ooh, I'm rolling a coil. Oh my gosh, I'm rolling it, I'm rolling it, I'm rolling it. It's getting longer. Look how far it stretches. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Whoa, oh my goodness, look, it's really thin. Oh man, look at that, it broke. And then you're like, oh, my coil broke. Now I can't use it. What do I do? Don't worry. All you have to do is stick the 2 pieces together and keep rolling, okay? Now remember, your clay is drying out every time you touch it. So if it starts to crack and it's hard to mold, you got to roll it up again,